It's live, I think.
I do believe so. Hey, yo, what the deal? You know who it is. It's the Don. Yeah, Tony Teflon, House Teflon, Teflon 316. We pull the strings. Yeah, here on Teflon TV. What up, what up, what up, my people? And that's crazy. I haven't said that in such a long time. Now it's a new opening that I have to even remember saying what words I was going to put on there. But I am here today, and I am discussing the epilogue chapter, one of my favorite chapters, if not my favorite chapter in all the books of Dancing with Dragons. And it's such a big chapter, and I could not do it by myself. And I'm blessed to have my second guest on my television network, and her name is Bar. And you can introduce yourself if you would.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Bar. I have my own YouTube channel. It's my name, Bar De Porto. And I focus on Game of Thrones reviews and A Song of Ice and Fire series. And I'm so happy to be here. I love Tony's channel. And this is a very interesting chapter, and it's the very last one in a Dance with Dragons. And it's kind of a turning point. And so, because it's the last chapter, if you haven't read the first 5 books of A Song of Ice and Fire, you are warned. Also possible the Winds of Winter excerpts, spoilers. Okay, so one thing to note when we start with this chapter is that winter has arrived to King's Landing, and it's very noticeable, and it also makes a connection with the next book, The Winds of Winter. And we get this interesting little piece of foreshadowing in the beginning from Kevan's point of view. Kevan Lannister could feel it at his back and itch between the shoulder blades. And he's thinking about the presence of the Iron Throne, but in the end of the chapter he's going to get something else between his shoulder blades. Tony?
Yes, and that is exactly how it starts. We start in the beginning, and we see Kevan Lannister, acting Lord Regent, is hosting a small council meeting in the Red Keep's throne room. We must note here that neither Queen Marjorie, who is known as such, Cersei, or Tommen are there. Now, Kevan claims it's kinder to let him spend as much time as possible with his mother before her trial, and possible execution. Now, the acting Lord of Griffin Roost, Randall Connington, stands before them, insisting that he is loyal to King Tommen and uninvolved with whoever claims to be his uncle, Jon Connington, and this Targaryen pretender he has brought with him. He had landed with the Golden Company in the Stormlands, attacking towns, villages, and hurting as many people as they can, which is probably not stressed enough that the damage that they're doing as they march on Storm's End.
Okay, so about Sir Ronald Connington, he says, I am no traitor. But this is coming from a man who just changed sides after being taken captive at Blackwater Bay. And I'm not saying it's not wise to switch sides at this part, but it does make him a traitor. Now, the small council holds him responsible for Jon Connington taking over Griffin's Roost, so they question him, and he offers the small council to go and get his own uncle and the false dragons' heads, just to kill them. Tony?
Yes, now, the new hand of the king, Mace Tyrell, sitting in a chair carved in the shape of a hand, and is still mad that he could not take Storm's End from the man Stannis Baratheon himself, refuses his claim, and then orders Ryan to be kept in his quarters for the moment. Basically, he is holding him hostage there.
Yeah, and Mace is pretty much leading the small council meeting, and like immediately says no to Red Ronald's offer, and he makes decisions. And Kevan thinks the more I give him, the more he wants. Now, the actor that plays him, Mace Tyrell, said in an interview he is smarter than he looks, and in this chapter it seems like he is not hiding it any longer, and he is Lady Olenna's son. He can't be no. So Mace and Kevan argue about what to do about Storm's End, about Daenerys, and about the Golden Company, and Mace constantly interrupts Kevan And Kevan, probably rightfully so, predicts that Daenerys is not going to stay in Meereen for very long. And if Dany and her dragons join forces with Aegon, that's going to be a big problem.
Indeed. Now, he also sends the men Jaime got from the mountain to the wall after Summer hung and gilded by Tarly, which I think at some time will lead to something later at the war. Now, Kevan has begun to resent the demands of the Tyrells, as Bar just said, as Cersei did, but he realizes he cannot oppose them openly. See, Tyrell and his bannerman, Randall Tarly, have brought both armies to King's Landing, while the Lannisters' standing army is still in the Riverlands. Now, at this point, Tyrell tries to use a power play, and he insists that he will deal with Connington and his boy after Marjorie's trial, but Tarly is still reluctant about it. Tyrell then asks why Tommen can't declare Marjorie's innocent without a trial, but Kevan insists that defying the faith will only send people straight to the arms of Connington or Stannis Baratheon. Now remember, at this time, when Ironborn are attacking the Westerlands as well, and this is pointed out by the map that is presented by Grand Maester Parcells. Mace Tyrell says that Paxter Redwine will drive the Ironmen back, and that Stannis has to face Roose Bolton and the Cold of the North, and that will allow his sons to go and take the shield. Now remember, Mace is upset that he could not take Storm's End from Stannis, so that's why he's really running his mouth. He says he'll take back Storm's End, but Kevan catches this and says to himself, how can you capture something if you never captured it? He also dismisses the threat of Jon Connington, but poses Kevan unsure. And he flashes back at this time when Aerys appointed Jon Connington as the role of Hand of the King. And while Tywin Lannister's assessment of Connington as unsuitable, too green, too soon, too ambitious, proved to be true after his failure to kill Robert Baratheon at the Battle of the Bells. Now, at the Battle of the Bells, Lord Jon Connington ordered his soldiers to begin searching the houses looking for Robert Baratheon. Tywin would have burnt the whole city down, but Jon Connington, looking to impress Rhaegar, wanted to kill Robert one-on-one. They had not found him when the combined armies of Tully and Stark reached the Stony Step. The rebels stormed the city's walls and attacked the army at Connington, who responded by fighting as hard as he could. He wounded Hoster Tully and killed Lord John Arryn's cousin, who at that time was his heir, and his name was Denys Arryn. At this point, Robert came out and he led the counterattack. Robert killed Rhaegar Targaryen's friend and former squire Miles Mooten, and almost Jon Connington, whose very escape was said to be a miracle. He was then stripped of his lands and his holdings and exiled by the king from Westeros, and that's how he lost all this stuff. Now, Kevan believes that age will have made Connington wiser and more cautious and more dangerous. Now, the small council all agree that Connington and his pretenders must be dealt with, or they might link up with Daenerys Targaryen. Now, Pycelle suggests that they buy off the Golden Company since they're a sellsword company, but the new Master of Coins, Harry Swift, dismisses this and says that because Cersei's mismanagement of money, the Ironbreaker Bravo still demanding its money, pledges and new loans from Myr haven't received any responses, and hope of replenishing their treasury with this wealth that was supposed to be on Dragonstone following Sir Loras' capture of the island hasn't really worked out. Mace Tyrell reacts angrily when he hears all this, arguing that Loras searched the castle and found no trace of gold or gemstones or some rumored clutch of dragon eggs supposedly kept there. Kevan personally doesn't buy this whatsoever, and he gives the reason that he thinks Loras didn't really look so hard. Given that he was a younger man and, opposed to rash judgments, or even more so, because Loras is supposed to be injured on Dragonstone. Now, you got anything to say, Bar, about Loras being injured on Dragonstone? Do you think he is injured on Dragonstone?
I'm not sure about that. I need more proof to believe that he was injured, to be honest. What do you think?
That's where I have to go with it, too. I don't really think that he is injured on Dragonstone. I think that is a ruse But even so, if you have to say that, maybe some things could be true. But he also says that Valyrian sorcery was used to construct Dragonstone. This is Kevan, and it likely to hide many secrets. Now, this doesn't work, and he finally calms Mace down by suggesting that Stannis took everything with him at value when he fled. Now, if we're to believe this, then we could believe that there are some dragon eggs somewhere, and either in the clutches of Stannis or Loras, since it was rumored that there were dragon eggs there. Or maybe there isn't any dragon eggs there. Who knows? You know, there's dragon eggs everywhere in this book, it seems like.
Yeah, but there's a lot that talks about, like, dragonstone, and it should have a good cache of eggs.
Exactly. So it could be with either one of them, and I would think it's just the way it was written that if there were dragon eggs, that it has to be either with Stannis or with Loras. And if Loras does have dragon eggs, it would give them a reason to fake like he's injured to hide with these eggs.
Ooh, that's interesting. Very nice.
Now, Kevan also suggests that Harry's try a Pentastry magistrate, moneylenders, or else go to Bravos and deal with the Iron Bank in person. And we do see this later if we go into the Mercy chapter, that they went to that route, and people are trying to go and deal with the Iron Bank in person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next big part in this chapter that we get to is basically Kevan talking about the trials of Cersei. Now, Kevan says that Cersei is choosing a trial by combat, and with Sir Robert Strong the representative. Tyrell and Tarly start to talk shit about the man, which Kevan shares as they all heard rumors. Now, Marine Trant says he has never seen Strong eat or drink, and then Boris Blunt claims that he has never even seen this man take a shit or go to the privy. Kevan says under his breath, that man don't shit, suspecting that he, as well as others, know who really is Robert Strong really is.
Yeah, so we have a quote: whatever the face hidden behind Strong's helm, it must remain hidden for now. So I think we know after Series 4 that Sir Robert Strong is the Mountain, Sir Gregor Clegane. Do you think that?
Yes, I think 100% that it's impossible for it not to be, especially with the actor that's playing, you know, blowing up the spot and just saying what he said on the show. I mean, on an interview. I can't see it how he cannot.
Can you just remind people what he said for people who haven't watched it?
Yeah, so on the interview, when he was there, the interview, I think it was on Flicks in the City, the channel I watched it on, or that's this episode it was on, and he says, talking about this season, but it was last season when he was talking about it, he goes, I have to come back for a couple of more episodes, I have more episodes, I have a couple of things more to do with the mountain. And then he says something of Frankenstein-ish, and he says it's going to take him at least 3 episodes. So we know from the season before, the last time we see that mountain, we see Cersei talking to him, and she says to him, will he be as strong as he used to be? And he says yes, but it will change him. And Cersei says she does not care as long as he will be as strong as he was.
Yeah, so how did he change him? Well, okay, so I think we know that his head is on its way to Dawn. So whose head is on Sir Robert Strong's shoulders? So, like I said in the beginning of the chapter, Red Ronnet says, I will bring you back my uncle's head and the fake dragon's head. Now, Maester Viecel says about Red Ronnet, his uncle once stood where the boy was standing now and told King Aerys how he would deliver the head of Robert Baratheon. So, we have one more head, who is Robb Stark's head, who was cut off, and we know this because he had Greywiнд's head sewn, and Joffrey wanted to torture Sansa with it, but I reckon that head was on its way to King's Landing anyway as proof, and I actually filmed a video about this. I'm going to have it soon on my channel. I just wanted not to spoil this. But But yeah, I think it's Robert. For me, it makes like perfect sense. What do you think, Tony?
Well, it would fit if there's a head on him. The man's name is Robert Strong. It would fit if it was Robb Stark's head on it. A little gruesome, it would be, you know, but it
That's
definitely.
a weird comeback from Robb Stark.
It would be the only comeback he gets because he ain't coming back no other way. But it definitely could be. It could be nothing. It could just be, you know, it could be the skull. I mean, because the prophecy, when you listen to the prophecy, it says, I can't get it right. I don't have it in front of me, but it's like something that says like the goo, like black tar.
Yeah,
So,
but you know when I think that when Catelyn has a glimpse at Robb one time, she sees something similar. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I think that the prophecy and what Catelyn sees is the same. That when he opened his visor, it was blackness, darkness, I don't know. But it was kind of similar, I think.
it could be, and that would make sense. Even if they tarred his head for the travel, like people do in this world, they like to put tar on people's heads. It could have turned into a big tar mess or anything that can be conceived of that, something that just looks non-human when someone views it. So I think that's basically what the point of the prophecy is. So yeah, I think it's a good possibility that it could be Robb Stark's thing, and if everyone should watch Bar's whole video on it and get more deep in depth into that topic and stuff. So now, however, now Kevan at this time he shuts Mace up, saying, "If Cersei loses her trial, the legitimacy of her children, and thus Marjorie's claim to the throne as Tywin's queen, will be called into question." He also assures that the council that even if Cersei proves her innocence, that he will send her back to Casterly Rock after, and she will play no further part in anything of Tywin's rule or education. Now, right after this is when the meeting adjourns, and then they were to hook up 5 days later. And that would leave them time to make decisions about a certain inheritance, an inheritance involving House Rosby and 6 other claims, as well as the preparation for Myrcella's upcoming marriage. Now, Mace Tyrell doesn't like this marriage, and particularly after Myrcella's injuries, and suggests a better match for her. Now, Kevan isn't dumb, and he sees that Mace likely has his son Willis in mind. He dismisses this idea, warning that if they renege on Myrcella's betrothal now, that could cause them to lose Doran Martell, and make Doran Martell go inside with Jon Connington. Now, Harry Swift suggests that they get the Dornish to turn cloaks and kill Connington and his pretender. And Kevan agrees that if they could do that, that would save them a lot of trouble. But I don't think that's likely. Do you think that's likely, that they could somehow get Doran Martell to turn cloaks and kill Jon Connington?
I don't think so.
Not at all. So after Tyrell and Tarly are gone, Pycelle and Kevan. Pycelle asks Kevan for guards, fearing that Mace Tyrell means to do him harm because he has his parts in Cersei's claim about Marjorie. But Kevan dismisses his concerns. Now, Kevan also says that Tarly is the real power, not Mace, and tries to figure out a way to get Tarly on his side. Now, to me, this is a foreshadowing of Tarly's turncloak ways to come. Now, we know that Jon Connington has said that they have a friend in the capital, and we know Mace has stole all of Tarly's glory all over the years. Now, knowing his treatment for his son, it's not hard to think that at some point he would want to make a play for himself, and this is why I believe that this will happen. And I'm going to tell you something I've never said before on air or anything, and this will be the first time, and I will tell you exactly why I have proof that Tarly will flip and turn his cloak without a doubt. I've already said something earlier about it, and you probably didn't catch it, but now I'll put it in better focus. Now, House Mouton was sworn to House Targaryen. Miles was the former squire and friend of Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, and he was the brother of Lord William Mouton of Maidenpool. Now, Sir Miles is remembered as being bold and brass, and not like his brother William, who is known as being a coward. Now, Miles was knighted by Rhaegar himself and then killed at the Battle of Bells by Robert Baratheon himself. So we know now the mutants hate the Baratheons and anyone but a Targaryen who would sit the throne. Now Randall Tarly has no love for William Wooten, calling him a coward on numerous occasions. But he does like his lands, and by him sending Sam to the war, it made his second son, Dick Tarly, his heir. Now, Dicky Tarly is married to Eleanor Wooten, who just happens to be William Wooten's oldest daughter. And I believe that right there is the motive that will allow Tarly to turn his cloak on the Tyrells.
That's brilliant. I mean, he is not a very, he doesn't seem like a good loyal man at all.
Not at all. Obviously, the man's willing to treat his son, tell his son, listen, you're going to go to the war, or you're going to fall off, or I'm going to kill you and tell your mother you fell off your horse. So obviously the man's willing to do that to his own kin. He's doing anything he can.
He has no loyalty.
He has no loyalty whatsoever. He's just trying to move up. And he's got that big-ass Valyrian sword he's carrying around. And I'm sure, and he's the reason why he's won all these battles, and he's got no praise all over these years. There's no way that this man right now is his only opportunity to make a play. No way he is not going to take that chance.
Which sword is it, by the way?
What is the Tarly sword? What is the name of the Tarly sword? I have to look that up and see exactly what the name of the Tarly sword is. Maybe someone could put it in the comments. I know it's a big ass sword. I know it's a huge, huge sword. Let's see, Randall Tarly. Heartsbane. It's his sword. His sword is named Heartsbane. So,
maybe.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Now, at this particular time, it is snowing heavy in King's Landing, and Kevan retires to his study for a chance to try to warm up. He thinks on the possibility of raising his son Lancel to the King Guard before his thoughts then turn to Cersei. Now, when he's thinking about Cersei, he says, you know, this sweet girl once, he believes that if Aerys did accept Tywin's offer to wed his son to Cersei, Rhaegar would never look twice at Lyanna Stark, and perhaps many now would still be alive. And I think that it's really no coincidence right now that George R. R. Martin has Kevan think on Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar in this chapter after Jon's last chapter when he was killed. And if you really think about it, the book begins with skin changing, which is something that we know is in direct thing linked to Jon's chapter. Then we have Jon's chapter, and then we get this last chapter where they talk about Rhaegar and Lyanna Stark. And to me, it just is more proof that points to Jon's parentage. All right, then Kevan, he thinks on Cersei's Walk of Shame and how similar it was what Tywin did to their father's mistress. But Kevan hates that he had to do it. But he says that he had to appease the faith, and if he left unchecked, Cersei would have had no choice. She would have definitely corrupted Tommen the same way she did Joffrey.
Yeah. Now, Cersei seems very demure, and like Kevan is really impressed with the progress that she's made, but we know that it's just a front. She hasn't changed at all. And I want to talk a little bit about Lord Titus. So here's a quote. "The Lord Father's heart had burst in his chest as he was ascending a steep flight of steps to her bed." That is, her bed is a mistress' bed. Now, I read this story a few times in the books and I still don't buy it. I think Tywin might have had something to do with his father's death, because he stepped in as soon as his father died, and he hated every second that Lord Titus was alive, bringing shame to House Lannister. Now, ironically, Kevan notices that what Tywin did to his father's whore was now done to his daughter Cersei, like he said, to me, the Walk of Shame. Now, if I'm right about this, what Tywin did to his father Titus, Tyrion did to his father Tywin as well. Now, I looked into poison, and there is one called heartsbane, and it's probably what Arya used for her coin as well. It is possible to induce a heart attack, and I think Tywin had all the motive to do it. Titus was heading up the stairs to the mistress that Tywin hated. Now, Kevan thinks what I did for the good of House Lannister, and I think that's how Tywin also justified it to himself. So
I agree. That could definitely be a possibility. It's just kind of crazy. I mean, it does seem that everything that happens to the Lannisters seems to be repeating itself and happening again. So I definitely.
I had something here. Okay, it's a quote. It all goes back and back. This is from Tyrion. It all goes back and back to our mothers and fathers and theirs before them. We are puppets dancing on the strings of those who came before us, and one day our own children will take up our strings and dance in our stead.
That's beautiful, and that's perfect. I think exactly Lannister's fate is what happened to them in the past, and that's why I think that since they are known for killing people's whole families, every Lannister could be dead by the end of these books. It would only be fitting to me that that's what they're known for, and then that it happens to them in the end. Or maybe just Tywin Lannister's line.
Yeah. Now I have something to say about the black tomcat. That they talk about at dinner. They say, this is from Tommen. The bad cat was outside my window last night, but Sir Pounds hissed at him, and he ran across the roofs. The bad cat, Sir Kevan said, amused. He's a sweet boy. An old black tomcat with the torn ears, Cersei told him. A filthy thing and foul-tempered. A clodjock and once. The cats keep the rats down, I know, but that one is been known to attack the ravens in the rookery. So this, I believe, is the same tomcat that leads Arya down the Red Keep, and the same tomcat that Varys and Ned have a conversation about. He obviously hates the Lannisters for some reason, and he hates the ravens, which are known to be warged, and wargs can notice other wargs, so I am just wondering who's in that cat.
Who is it? Who is in that cat? And I agree. Something is definitely going on with that cat. Could it be Arya in the cat? Could it be Blood Raven in the cat? But I definitely do believe that there is something going on with that black cat.
Yeah, I think it's the same person continuously, though. I don't think it's like Arya is somebody who can just step in from away like she does. But like she had a bond with Nymeria, that's why she can connect with her. I don't think she would connect with that. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to try to think of possibilities.
I mean, who?
Let us know in the comments if you have any ideas.
Yeah, if anyone has any ideas of who is in the black cat, who could be, please put them in the comments, and I'll definitely take a look at it. Now, at this time, as we've been talking about, Kevan then goes to Cersei's chambers, and it's where he has dinner with her and Tommy. Now, Cersei is very calm, as we had talked about, and guarded after her walk of atonement, which Kevan thinks is a good sign. She makes a request that Tyene Merryweather attended her once more after the trial, and that her son be brought to court as a companion for Tommen. As she also after that, she asked about her brothers, but Kevan has no news on Jaime or Tyrion. So even though Cersei is acting shy, we see that she is planning to have Merryweather's son in a role with Tommen that she could eventually later use for a spy. Now, he also says that he has imprisoned the remaining Kettleback brothers for the crime of getting it on with the queen, and if they confess, that he will send them to the wall, but if they do not, that he will make them face Sir Robert Strong. At this time is when a messenger comes and that announces that Grand Maester Pycelle is asking for Kevan's presence. Now, when Kevan arrives at the Maester's chambers and enters, that's when he finds the White Raven sitting on the window ledge, a sign from the Citadel that winter has come. Now, in my comments, someone said to me when I said something about Jon being Azor Ahai, and that I used when darkness falls comments in the prophecy, that points only to Jon. The person said I was kind of nuts just thinking that, and I'm going to tell you that I'm not. You see, because the way I see it is that everything that happened to Dany happened before winter has came, and before darkness has taken over the world. Now that the birds have been sent, this is a foreshadowing that darkness has come, winter has come, and this is exactly the time when Jon is being killed, which I think is more proof that Jon is a Azor Ahai over Dany.
100% agreed.
Now Kevan turns and leaves to go check, and then he is hit by a crossbow bolt right in his chest. At that time, he calls out for help, but then he sees that Pycelle at this time is at his table and is already dead.
Yes. So first, I just want to go back a little bit. We have a girl who calls for a boy calls for Sir Kevan to come to Maester Pycelle, and then he gets there. The door was opened by a serving girl with a fur-lined robe, much too big for her. Sir Kevan stamped the snow off his shoes, removed his cloak, tossed it to her. The Grand Maester is expecting me, he announced. The girl nodded, solemn and silent, and pointed to the steps. Now, this is something, not on my second read, but on my first read, I've noticed this is odd. Something doesn't feel right. Just like when Catelyn noticed that Rosalind cries at the wedding, or when Sansa sees that Dontos is crying, something is off. What was the girl doing in there? Whose coat is that? Did Maester Pycelle give her a coat like Kevan just did, and she just took it? Now we have Kevan who walks into the rookery, and despite being too warm, usually it's cold. No one is tending to the fire, and an old man like Pycelle would need to keep warm. This is another reason for Pycelle to open his eyes. Now Kevan sees the White Raven and looks at the window, and then Varys shoots him in the chest between the ribs, probably from his back between his shoulder blades, and Kevan asks Maester Pycelle to help him, and then he notices he is dead. Now if he would have bothered to look instead of looking out of the window, he might have seen it and perhaps prevented the attack. This is mistake number 3. Kevan, you're out.
Exactly, and you know, at the moment he does get shot, and then he calls out Tyrion, and thinking his nephew was responsible, but you know, and that's when he hears the voice of Varys, and then Varys explains to him that he bears him no ill will, and that Kevin's a good man, and in service to a bad cause, but and he was becoming too successful in uniting the realm behind Tommen, and doing the damage that Cersei caused. He then adds that Cersei will suspect the Tyrells, and that for Kevin's murder, and the Tyrells will blame her, and then someone will blame the Dornish, and then all the alliances will be broke up, breaking down Tommen's hold on the Iron Throne. And that is his plan, and that would allow Aegon to make his presence known, since he's been doing so much Storm's End, and the realm will flock to the side of the Targaryens.
Yeah, now Varys starts by apologizing to Kevan, which is nice of him.
Very nice.
Gotta give him credit for that.
Yeah.
And he tells him that it's because, like he said, he's taking charge, it stabilizes the realm, and he wants chaos. Now, this is complete crackpot theory, but I've had this thought for a very, very long time. I'm not going to make a video about this because I just don't have enough evidence, but I'm going to ask you a question, Tony.
Go right ahead.
At the top of your head, who loves chaos? Who's really into chaos? Yes. Yeah. Now, chaos isn't a pit, it's a ladder. Could have been Varys' thing just as much as Littlefinger's. And when we see King's Landing through Catelyn's eyes for the first time, Littlefinger and Varys are working together. And everything that they do is kind of working towards the same goal. And I feel like in the small council meetings that they try to show that they hate each other, but I get the sense that they're really fond of each other. And think about this. If they are working together, that would intimidate a whole bunch of people, and either one of them or both of them would be sent away or beheaded. And that could be an amazing power for both of them. And now, if Varys thinks about putting Aegon on the throne and Littlefinger has Sansa, I see a possible love match right there with Aegon and Sansa, ice and fire, or ice and black fire. Now, I correct myself. Now, your niece will think the Tyrells had you murdered, mayhaps with the convenience of the imp. The Tyrell will suspect her. Someone somewhere will find a way to blame the Dornishmen. Doubt, division, and mistrust will eat the very ground beneath your boy king, whilst Aegon raises his banner above Storm's End and the lords of the realm gather around him. So Varys wants to create chaos, pit the Lannisters, Tyrells, and Martells against each other. So they would be way too busy to take care of Aegon raising his banners and taking over while they look away. And I think that Varys also, when Tyrion escaped, there was a high golden coin under the buckets. You remember that, Tony?
Yes, I do.
Cersei immediately distrusts the Tyrells because of it, and I think Varys put it there as well. Now, I really think that what Varys says about Aegon is true. He would make a great king. I think he would make the best king out of all the possibilities. Unfortunately, you have to be either by lineage, either by conquer, to rule the Seven Kingdoms. So we'll see how that turns out for him.
Well,
What do you think about that? Like Aegon, do you think he'll make a good king?
Well, Aegon, possibly he could make a good king. I think, not as good as King of Stannis, but that's my dude. But I can't. No, maybe if he's been trained the way they claim he's been trained, but he seems to be pretty pig-headed right now. But I think that the thing to take from like the end of this chapter when you're going, wow, when he does bring up Aegon, like Kevan basically insists, that he was killed during the sack of King's Landing. And then Varys has to try to explain to him otherwise. I think that the reason why they put that in there, that Kevan insists that he's already dead, is because this Aegon is a fake. And I think that that's what that's trying to tell you, that this guy they're bringing is not the real Aegon, that he is a Blackfire. And if Varys is working with Littlefinger, then the realm is in trouble because they got everything sewn up, if that's the case.
Yeah, so do you want to move on to like when he actually dies, because there's something really weird going on.
All right, so basically right then, he tells Aegon, he explains how Aegon was groomed since birth to be king. He's taught not just in skills at arms and ruling, but how to look after himself, what it means to go hungry, and is haunted by the most of the important things, and that is his duty to rule, not his right. And to put his people first. After this is when Varys then summons some of his little birds and instructs them to finish off the dying Kevan.
Yes, so we have a child emerges from a pool of darkness, a pale boy in ragged robe, no more than 9 or 10. Another rose up behind the Grandmeister's chair. The girl who had opened the door for him was there as well. There were all around him, half a dozen of them, white-faced children with dark eyes, boys and girls together, and in their hands the daggers. Now, white-faced children with dark eyes holding daggers, that is weird. What were they doing with those daggers? He's already dead. They're not going to kill him. What were they after for? What were they going to take? How come they all look alike? And why the daggers? Tony, correct me if I'm wrong about my English, but in their hands the daggers, shouldn't it be in their hands daggers, or in their hands word daggers? Why the daggers? Is it a special dagger?
The daggers. I mean, I guess it could be taken that way, in their hands the daggers. It could be in their hands. There were daggers. I think he's probably just saying it could be taken in English that in their hands the daggers, just to emphasize that the daggers were there. It could be taken that way in English, I think.
Yeah. And
so,
do you have any idea, like, which type of daggers? I'm just wondering about this. What were they doing with them?
I do not know anything about. I have not really thought about the specificness of the daggers themselves on that sentence and stuff. I always just took it as this is what they used to kill him. In their hands were the daggers because they were coming in with the daggers to finish him off at that particular time. That they're not coming there to hug him. In their hands are the daggers. His death. In their hands.
But you have like Varys said, "I'm sorry, you're cold, you're in pain," and then he shot him again to kill him. Mm-hmm. This is after that. He's obviously gonna die. He doesn't need the help of the children to kill him. So,
unless he's
I'm
saying,
just wondering, what in the world are they doing there?
Yeah, unless he's saying that, you
Imagine
know.
yourself dying and then all these children come and hover over you with daggers. That is the weird stuff.
I mean, you thinking that he was hallucinating? He was already, these things weren't there. He could just be like putting him like, oh, he likes him. He sees he's in pain. He's cold. Let's just finish this off. Let's just get you out of your misery, and you don't need to suffer anymore. I have too much respect for you to let you suffer. Let me just knock you out of your misery right now. I mean, but you know, but now you know we did the chapter already. I should have probably focused on that last little bit a little more, and I would have probably had something better to say about it. But no, it could be taken either way, without a doubt.
Okay.
But that basically wraps up the whole epilogue chapter. I think we've covered a lot. I hope that everyone enjoyed it. The people who have watched, I see that it looks like there what 36 viewers out there watching live. That's a little. Thank you for watching live, and I hope you learned something, enjoyed this, and you know, picked up some stuff. And if you got some stuff wrong, you know, put it in there. But remember the black cat. What is going on with that black cat? Who was walking in that black hat? You can put that down on the comments. Is there a way that I wish I could like look at the thing and see if people were commenting on something. And if they were, I would see if I could answer any quick question really fast.
Well, you can look in your dashboard. Maybe you'll find something there.
But and is that what happens? Oh my God. Let me see if there's anything. I think I could see something here.
While you're looking, I just want to say thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. And we're going to finish it here and move to my channel in a little bit to do something completely different.
Yes, we definitely will be going over to Bar's channel and doing something completely different and trying to knock that out. And so definitely look for this the next thing on her channel real soon and getting that done real quick and reading that. So that should be a lot of fun. So I'm just gonna end this. I ain't gonna look for the questions. I'm sorry, people. You know, I can't do it right now. So thank you, Bar, for coming on my channel on this show. I hope everyone enjoyed this. It's like I said, I hope you all got something from this. You know what I mean? And once again, Bar, if you want to tell them exactly where they could find you.
If you just copy paste what Tony wrote in the description, Bar De Porto, I think you'll have no problems finding it.
Perfect. Find a channel that
way.
way.
Thank you all for watching.
I will try to put a copy and paste a link there myself. I'm not good at that stuff, but I will try my best. I'm going to put one down there so you can get right to a page and everything else. All right. So, as always, if you like this, subscribe, thumbs up it, tell your friends about me, tell your people about me. We trying to rise up in here. We small houses, House Bar, House Teflon. We trying to rise up in these places. So help us out a little bit. And until next time, you know who it is. It's the Don, Tony Teflon, House Teflon, Teflon 316. We pull the strings. Peace. And stay sexy.